My name's Alea and welcome back to my channel. Today is the beginning of a new reading vlog and I'm going to the Oregon coast, so I thought I would bring you along with me. So I think on this trip I'm going to be taking some books with me. I have some fantasy books, I have some more like sci-fi books, and we're just going to see how much we can get read, and I'm going to take you on some adventures with me. So let's go! So the main book that I want to read during this trip is Blood Like Magic by Liselle Sambury, and this is a young adult fantasy novel about a family of black witches who are going through some issues in their witch community, and our main character Voya has to come into her own and learn about her own powers and find a way to help her family. So I've read some of Blood Like Magic and I wanted to give you an update. So I read, well, let's see, where am I at? I'm like 270 pages in, and the beginning was a little bit slow for me personally. I think there's a little bit of like teen drama in here that's not necessarily my favorite thing. Sorry if you can hear the sirens outside, I think there's an ambulance. Anyway. So it's a little dramatic, and the main character Voya is just starting to go through the ritual that she has to do to become a witch, and she's worried that she's not going to pass and not going to be able to become a witch like all of her family members are. So there's some family drama around that. And the family that she lives with is really interesting, and I really enjoy that aspect of it. So it's a big black witch family within like a witch community, and all the family members live in this big house together, and part of their magic is like tied to the house that they live in, and there's a lot of history with that, and it's really interesting. And the main character is also really close with her cousins, and I really enjoyed that aspect of it as well. So there's a bunch of different cousins who are like really close within age, and they're all girls, and they're all like really close, and they kind of try to help each other through different things, and a couple of them are older than our main character, Voya, and so they kind of give her advice and things like that. So I really like the family dynamic. That's really interesting to me. And there's also a lot of stuff about food in here. Like, Voya is really into cooking, and her family is Canadian, but they also have some roots in like Trinidad, and so she really likes to make like Trinidadian food and that sort of thing. And so those parts are really interesting. Cooking is kind of like an outlet for her, and I really like that as well. That was really fun to read about. And there's also a lot of queer characters in here. So we have 2 trans main characters. There's a love interest who is a trans guy, and one of Voya's cousins is a trans woman. So that's very interesting as well. I will say the whole like first encounter with the love interest at the beginning was like pretty predictable, and at first the love interest is kind of like unlikable and rude to Voya and her cousin, and so there's sort of this like hate to love thing going on, I think, which I'm not like the biggest fan of personally, but I do think that the relationship between the love interest, his name is Luke, and Voya could be interesting and possibly good as we go on, but we shall see how that goes. But overall, it's really interesting. I love how queer it is. I love that it's a family of black witches, and there's this whole like community of witches, so their family is just like one family within this big group. So there's all these other families. So I think there's like some other families that are black or mixed race or things like that as well, so that's cool. And there's also kind of this matriarch society going on here too, because each family has their own matriarch. So it's usually like an older woman. In this case, it's Voya's grandma is the matriarch of the family, and so all of these women are the ones who like make the big decisions about things that are going on in the community and within their families and things like that. Like, everybody kind of like has a say, but they end up like deferring to the matriarch a lot, so that's also an interesting thing. So I like that. One thing though is that Voya herself is, I mean, she's young, she's like 17, 16, I think she's 16, and she just doesn't have a lot of confidence in herself. Like, she is really supportive of her cousins, and she's pretty supportive of her love interest as well, but she just doesn't have any confidence in herself, like, at all. So, and I mean, it's addressed a little bit, but I'm hoping that by the end of the book she'll have grown as a character a little bit, so she won't be like hating on herself so much. So that's, I mean, I think that's like intentional, but it does seem a little bit like it's knocking you over the head constantly with the fact that she has low self-esteem, just like because her mom tells her all the time that she's bad at making choices. It's like, okay, well, like, that's not a huge deal. Like, you don't have to hate on yourself all the time, sis, you know? But anyways, that's where I'm at. It's definitely a fast-paced read. Also, the chapters are really short. I've been kind of flying through this. I read a lot of it in the car. We were in the car for like 16 hours. Oh my god. But it was alright. I got a lot of reading done, so it's all good. But yeah, I will update you in a bit when I have more. Good morning. So I've now read a little bit more of Blood Like Magic, and I'm definitely enjoying it so far. I think it's really fast-paced. It's a fun read. I think this would be a great book for teenagers who are interested in reading about some paranormal witches. And I really like the futuristic society in here that everybody lives in. There are lots of technology advances going on, so there's some robots, there are like bionic chips that people have in their eyes that they can use to like search the internet and stuff like that, which is cool. There's lots of talk about like social media and different things that the teenage girls are doing on the internet, so that's cool. There's also like different people that they follow. Like the main character Voya talks about how she follows different people who make like different kinds of food and stuff. Like she gets lots of recipes off of the internet, and so that's really interesting. I would say that if you're an adult looking for a fantasy novel, like a YA fantasy to read, this may or may not be your cup of tea. I think it definitely like reads a little bit younger as a YA, so it definitely has a lot of like diversity in it and queer rep and things like that. So if you're into that, you might like this. But if you're looking for like a really in-depth, detailed high fantasy that's YA, then maybe go with like Raybearer or Strange the Dreamer over this one, because this one is definitely like more like urban fantasy versus like high fantasy with witches, if that makes sense. But yeah, overall, those are my thoughts. Thank you so much for watching this video. I would really appreciate it if you could consider subscribing and liking and sharing this video. I would really appreciate that so much. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.